There's a scene in that old film when Harry met Sally, in which the two chief characters, Harry and Sally, I presume, I think it's Meg Ryan and I can't remember the name of the male actor, but they've been in this film. They've been friends for a long time, these two, and some years into their friendship, the man makes a pass, a sexual pass at the woman, and he's rebuffed. She says no, and he says, "Okay, take it back." She says, "Oh no, you can't take it back. It's out there now. It's ruined our friendship." He says, "Oh, take it back." But as you say, it's out there. And Steven Pinker does a bit of an analysis of this in terms of what he calls individual knowledge and mutual knowledge. That once knowledge becomes mutual, shared between people rather than held individually, then it changes the nature of it. Even if each person knows what the other person knows, even if Sally in this film knew perfectly well that the male character did want to have sex with her, providing that knowledge wasn't made overt and explicit, put out there, that was still okay. The game could still go on. But it's when knowledge becomes mutual that things change. But I think it's a bit funny, isn't it, already? Because that kind of logic underpins so much of male-female relationships. And I guess male-male, female-female relationships sometimes. But I don't think this would be a surprise to many people that I think probably all men, certainly most men, when they first meet pretty much any woman, one of the first things that goes through their head is, "Can I fuck her? Can I fuck her?" That's the first thing that goes through your head. It might not go through with those words attached to it. It might not be fully conscious even, but it's definitely there. Definitely there. And usually it is fully conscious. But of course you deny it, and men have a habit of denying it, and I've denied it millions of times in my life. It's what you do, you deny that happens. But it does happen. It's kind of like an affordance thing, the affordance thing that J.J. Gibson talks about. I don't know what he is, psychologist, who knows. Affordance is that when you see something, when you perceive something, the first part of perception isn't a kind of clinical, analytical identification of the thing. It's an understanding of what it can do. So if you see a tool with a handle, the first thing you see when you look at it is the shape and the to-handness of it. Come here, Phoebes. That's called its affordance, and only secondarily to that do you get the recognisability. And it shows up in actually how the visual systems of the brain work, even in that particular case. But I think the same thing is true of male-female relationships, and possibly, as I say, relationships that are parallel within a gender. When a man looks at a woman, when I look at a woman, usually, unless it's a close relative or something like that, the first thing that comes to mind is, "Can I fuck her?" And the same is true for, I think, almost all men. But many men, including many who watch this video, will deny that. Because we don't want it to be mutual knowledge. Because when it's mutual knowledge, the game changes. And for some reason, we don't want the game to change. And of course, you have to lie about it if you want to sleep as feminists. But it's true. Sorry, girls. I don't know. Maybe the same thing happens to women. Or maybe if stereotypes or evolutionary psychologists are correct, maybe the first thing that flits past a woman's mind when she meets a man is, "Can he look after my children? Can he provide for the family?" Is that what you see when you see my videos, girls? Can this man provide for my family? Can this man give me strong babies? Can I fuck her? There was a posting on one of these blogs that I subscribe to, a blog called Black Hag, if anybody knows it. And it was talking about this incident, which is supposed to have happened involving Richard Dawkins. And apparently what happened was that a sceptical feminist called Skeptic had made this posting saying about how she was kind of harassed and made to feel nervous in an elevator once. She was coming home 4 o'clock at night, was in an elevator, a lift. Some guy got in there and had made a proposition to her, which she'd rebuffed, and it ended there. But she was saying, we live in a kind of rapey culture, and that's the kind of thing which disturbs people. Anyhow, she posted this on Skeptic had posted this on a blog somewhere, And someone called Richard Dawkins, who a lot of people assumed was Richard Dawkins, and I think P.Z. Myers was involved in this, and certainly Blackhack was, it's supposed to have made this response, which I've read. And it's basically just taking the piss, It's a posting supposedly addressed to someone called Muslima, a female Muslim, saying, "Oh, you shouldn't worry about that, all that female genital mutilation and all that, not being allowed out, not being allowed to drive, and not being educated. All those complaints you've got, which stem from a certain application of, that whole cultural thing. You should stop complaining about that because you don't know how bad people have got it in the West. Here's a woman. Look at this poor woman has been harassed in an elevator, and you think you've got it bad with your female genital mutilation. Look what's happening in the West." It was just a piss take, by either Richard Dawkins or someone working under that name. And there's quite a kerfuffle about it. I know one or two people here will probably know about it. Coughlin, I think you know about it, maybe not. And there's some videos been made about it. And of course, a lot of the conversation revolves around, this. Well, two things really. One, what's Richard Dawkins, if it is indeed him, what's he doing getting his hands dirty by playing with a stupid game like that? Because it was a really condescending piss take of a post. What's he doing, if indeed it was him? And the other is about the credibility of that sentiment. Does it make sense to, what kind of an attitude is it when we say, "Oh, you should stop complaining, you women in the West, just because people are propositioning you in elevators. Look how bad they've got it in the rest of the world." When it's like that, then you can start complaining. Nothing bad happened. Just let a train go past. So the discussion is all around that, really, about how valid a complaint that is. But Skeptic's point, and I think in the sense she's right, is that no, of course it's not like having your clitoris cut off. No, of course not. And no, of course it's not like being not allowed to be educated, or not allowed to drive, or not allowed to be seen out in public, or all of the insane laws that discriminate against women. Of course it's not like that, but it's significant nevertheless. And I think she's right. And a lot of the criticisms about saying, look at the incident on its own. Stop comparing it with Islam. Stop comparing it with women who've got it worse elsewhere. Look at the incident on its own. Nothing happened, people say. The guy took no for an answer. Nothing happened. But I think what's missing there is that thing I was talking about in a previous video, which is about, what kind of game is being played between men and women. What assumptions are being made. What kind of perceptions are being made prior to even the simplest conversation. Even if it's just as, fancy going for a drink? No? Oh, okay, fair enough. Even if it's as simple as that. Because I think, and I might be wrong here, but I don't think I am, I think men look at women primarily as something to have sex with. I don't think that's the entirety of it, you know what I mean? And the mark of civilization in all of us is to not just do the first thing that comes to mind, and not take that as the driving force. But yeah, I have no doubt at all that all men, heterosexual men, look at almost all women, and the first thing that passes through their head is a question about, can I fuck her? And with that in mind, if that is part of the fabric of perception and part of the fabric of interaction, which I think it is, then there's no equivalence here. There isn't an equivalence between men and women in those kind of engagements. If you're in an elevator, particularly at 4 o'clock in the morning, for God's sake, and the person you've got in with you, and that the person when they saw you, before they even recognised you as a person, the first thing that went through their head was, can I fuck her? And then they say, do you want to go for a drink? It's not the same, is it? It's not the same as just two people just voicing a kind of innocent request. It isn't the same as that. It comes loaded with preconceptions. And you can't guarantee that person you're talking to, who's made that suggestion, do you want to go for a drink, having already thought in their minds, can I fuck her? You can't guarantee that they've got the prefrontal cortex, enough prefrontal cortex, to move past that can I fuck her moment to, civilization. Really. Civilization.